Hey, Yinz guys and gals, gather around for a journey like no other. It's time to hop on board the Yinz Goin podcast. From the rivers that meet at the point to form downtown Pittsburgh, to the sheer face of Half Dome, to the furthest corners of the globe, Matt will be your compass, your confidant, your companion as we explore the wonders of travel. So sit back, relax on your couch, and let the wanderlust whoosh over Yinz as we discover new horizons and reminisce about old favorites. With Matt by our side, the sky's the limit. Join Matt on the Yinz Goin podcast because when it comes to travel, the journey's just getting started. And now, without further ado, let's give a shot for your guide through the highways and byways of travel. Your planning partner, the man with the map, Matt Schraeder. Hi, Ian's doing. Welcome to the Where Ian's Going podcast. I'm Matt. I'm your host. Joining me again today is my boss, Donna, who took an amazing European cruise with Royal Caribbean earlier this year. It's good to talk to you again, Donna. I'm excited to hear about your trip. And those pictures you posted look gorgeous.
Yeah, it was really just when I thought I saw the most beautiful thing in my life, the next place we went, it was just as beautiful, if not more. And it's just so nice to wake up every day to a different view. You know what I mean? Um, One of the things I like about cruising is you have a different, like every time you port, you have a different view out your balcony. It's just
And the best thing, go
one more
ahead.
reason to get that balcony.
And you don't have to keep unpacking and repacking by going to different
Right,
hotels.
right. And this was a long, like I haven't taken a 7 night cruise. Honestly, I think it might take me back to like the 90s. Like I usually take five, six, 4, 5, and 6 night cruises, depending on the cruise line. And while I do love Virgin for for Bahamas, I think Royal really does well with Alaska and Europe. So when I was given this opportunity to attend the owner's symposium with Royal, I jumped on it. And I asked my husband, I said, we have to do this. It just had an amazing itinerary. The training that they provided was absolutely like one of the best trainings I've ever attended, whether it be in person or online. That was actually in a destination, and the training was at the sea days. So we really did not miss anything as far as the itinerary and the ports. We had that time all to ourselves.
Oh, that's good planning by the organizers, Royal Caribbean. Good job.
Very good job.
And to go back to something Donna said about Royal Caribbean in Alaska, is that they have, if you're going to do a land and sea thing, they have their own trains that can take you deeper into the interior.
Mhm.
So they really cater to you.
Yeah, yeah, it was that's really on my bucket list to do Alaska. I tend to like go more towards the warm climate cruises, but I really should just do it and do in Alaska because that's where the opposite of like what I did, like the mountains and the glaciers and all of that Alaska has to offer. I can't even imagine, but um, I'm glad I did this one. I'm really, really glad because I've always wanted to go to Europe. This was my first time over there. And I recommend doing it on a cruise because, like I said, you can, without having to drive anywhere or catch trains or anything, you really can get around with the different ports that they're visiting. And ours was Venice and Greece and Croatia. Um, so it was, quite a variety, and it filled up the 7 days. It felt longer than 7 days. And our room was nice too. So like you're actually living in that room. So it's really nice. That's why I like having the balcony because you can get outside and you hear the ocean at night. And it was just really, really, really nice and relaxing.
That's one of the great things about just doing a beach vacation or anything near the ocean is just hearing that ocean and how soothing it is.
Yeah,
And then there's also the ocean smell.
right, right. It was really, I just love the sound of the waves. And at night, it I mean, there's not a single light ruining your stars. Like the stars was just amazing. You know, you could look out into the dark, pitch black night and just see everything, all the stars in the sky and the moon. We had a full moon while we were there. So it was just glistening off the ocean. Oh my gosh, I took a picture that was so pretty that I feel like I almost get like getting it framed. It was just so pretty the way the moon was. It was, I think it was the full moon night, if not the night before. But it just, my husband was out there and said, "You have to come see this." Oh my gosh, it was just like a postcard.
That yeah. Just yeah, that's all I have to say to that right there.
Yeah.
There's those times whenever you're on vacation, you get that postcard view and you get a picture and it just comes out so amazing for you.
And you know, even when we were in the port, like in Greece, I've seen these pictures from so many people of like, you know, the Parthenon and you know, up the Acropolis hill. And I've never, this was my time to experience it. And it was just weird. It was like they were living in a postcard. That's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah. So where you started off going to Venice was your first stop, is that correct?
Right. We flew into the Marco Polo airport, and it was a little confusing because I've, you know, obviously never been there, a different language, and finding, you know, being that you're in Venice, you don't really have taxis on land, but there's water taxis. So it was already pre-booked. We just had to find it. And the directions weren't that great that I was given. But then, you know, things started looking a little familiar and we found it, but we had to wait a little bit because they were like taking so many people on. These aren't big boats. I pictured it big, like the big boats on like, um, you know, in Epcot, the bigger boats. I pictured it like that. It was just this little tiny boat that maybe held 8 or 10 people. So it filled up fast. So we finally got ours, dragging our luggage. Like the airports to me seemed really big, and we had a lot of luggage. So we finally, they didn't look like they were going to have any place to put our luggage, but they stacked it up in the front. And then we took off down the Grand Canal, which is like their main street, like a Venice's main street, and only it's a canal. And then we were going pretty fast too, but it was kind of neat because everybody was like excited, the people talking in different languages. Our luggage was all stacked up in the front of the boat. It looked like it was going to bounce right off of the boat because we were going pretty fast. And it was really just really nice I was filming a little bit along the way, and there was an Italian flag off the back of the boat that was like flapping in the wind. And I was like, wow, we're really here, you know? So I knew our hotel was not too far from where they were going to let us off. So it maybe took like maybe 20 minutes to get to the Tronchetto Transportation Center. And that's like the hub. That's like the hub of little boat stations where like a bus station, but a boat station. And each little section would take you to a different part of town, or like one went to the airport, which was not what I was on, and then the other ones would take you to different sections of town that you wanted to go to. So, you know, we caught on to it pretty quick. It wasn't real hard. It was just different, you know, different than any kind of transportation in a city that we've ever had before. And everything's in euros, so you have to get used to that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, all right, millions of people do this all the time. So it's just a matter of getting used to it before it's like, all right, we got the system down.
Yeah, yeah. After a couple days, well, we were only there. Um, I think we were there 2 nights because I wanted to get used to the time a little bit before we hit the ship. You know, we loaded up on the ship, but um, the hotel was right across the street from the transportation center, so that made it really easy. And it was I think it was a Hampton, believe, and that was nice because it's a brand that I'm familiar with. So I already have like, you know, I'm a member. So that kind of made it easy. It wasn't like a separate little boutique hotel that I had no idea anything about. And I looked it up ahead of time, so I kind of got familiar with it. And then we only had to walk across the street every time we wanted to go somewhere. We went back over, but you had to get in the ticket center or in a little kiosk, you had to get your tickets for the taxi. So we had to do that. And then we went over and it was closed and the kiosk wasn't working. So we finally flagged somebody down to help us because we couldn't read Italian, like we couldn't understand the money exchange. It was funny, but it all worked out. We managed to get the tickets where we wanted to go, and it was a good experience. That's a learning experience. I think I'd know a little more now if I went back.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier the second time around.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it'll be easier next time. The main thing was, we were there for the cruise, but I was really happy to have a couple days to just experience Venice, just taking, the boat around and all the shops and the one thing it was hard to get used to was they smoke everywhere and they don't really, it's not like here where it's not allowed hardly anywhere. But you had to just deal with it. Every single person, like the waiters would go outside and smoke and then come back in. And there wasn't in the restaurants, thank goodness. But the way the streets and the pathways are so narrow, the smoke, when they would go out in front of the restaurant, it would just waft in. You would still
Hmm.
smell it. But they were real accommodating. Like the restaurants were real nice. That's tourism is their big thing. And, they were really nice. They all speak English for the most part. And the menus were in English, so we didn't have any trouble that way.
Yeah, I remember whenever we went to Germany, this was 25 years ago, that going to a restaurant, we learned what certain words meant after, using a little translator to, or my brother-in-law, now brother-in-law, that he knew German, so he could tell us what it was. But it's like, okay, I recognize that word. I know what this means, and we got
Yeah.
used to it a bit.
Yeah, they had English underneath it, so you could kind of tell. Um, and the one thing that surprised me about the restaurants was it was so reasonable. It wasn't, it seemed like United States prices are just so high. And I was just really shocked that we could have a dinner for like $30, you know? And then there's no tipping. So you can tip if you want to, but they don't add it to your bill. They don't expect it. So they really appreciate it. So it's just so weird that they don't have like suggested tip. That's like that here everywhere. And I thought that was unusual. But I kind of knew about it ahead of time, but it was just weird that they were just thankful. They treated you well no matter what. They didn't, they weren't expecting it. It was just nice to be treated like that and not have it be expected. And I think they really appreciate it more that way.
Some good food too, huh?
Oh my gosh, it was all so fresh, fresh cheese, fresh everything. It's so different than here. It didn't seem like they were behind the scenes with a lean cuisine and slapping it on a plate. You know what I mean? It was like freshly made. Um, there was times I wasn't really hungry, so I ate what I could, but it was just so much food. And whether really didn't want dessert after, but you wanted to try it. You know what I mean? So sometimes we would just share a dessert. But I thought the portions were really big for the price too. Um, the spaghetti over there is not what the spaghetti we have here. It's just everything you could tell it was just all fresh made. And the sauces, I mean, it was just so good. The pizza, it was a lot like Italy when you were in Italy at Epcot. It was fresh like that. So that seems very authentic. Like when you look at Epcot's Italy pavilion, the food was I've never eaten in the one restaurant since they changed it, but when I had pizza, it was fresh like this pizza. So I compared it and it was like similar. But it's been a long time since I've eaten in Italy over there.
It reminds me of the movie Goodfellas with Ray Liotta, that whenever he
Yeah,
goes into witness protection program, he's like, yeah, I'm stuck here. I have, instead of getting pasta and stuff, I have egg noodles and ketchup. So it's like getting that authentic, this is different. But now, whenever you go to Italy, it's different in a good way. You have to have trouble coming back. It's like, oh, it's not the
yeah,
same.
it isn't the same here. We did appreciate the food. Um, and the menu was pretty extensive too. One thing I liked that I didn't really see was chicken parmesan. They didn't really have that, and I was surprised. The one menu we ate, or the one restaurant we ate in, right after the cruise, and we went back to Venice after the cruise too. and the one was very limited menu, but they were real accommodating. Because I was like, well, can I just have like kids pasta? I don't really need a big gigantic plate. And they're like, oh, sure. Well, sure, we'll make that for you. Like it was just, you have to ask, but you just have to ask. And I just love the way their accent is and the way they talk. You really know you're in Italy. You know what I mean? And we were at the end of the vacation, so we had already been around to so many different places, but it was just neat to try something new. This was the restaurant actually in our hotel. We were at the Crown Plaza at the last reservation we had after the cruise. It was still Venice, but it was a little bit different part of town where we didn't really see the canals. It was more like on a land like back further away from the main city. It was more around land, and it was just a little bit remote. So we decided just to eat in the hotel, but it was really good. It was very not crowded either, but it must be popular because by the time we left, every table was full. So we enjoyed that too. But by then we were all kind of ready to get home, prepared for that long flight. Going over was like 8 hours, coming back was like 9 hours. So. It's just how it is when you have to be willing to deal with the time difference and the long flights. That was the main adjustment for us.
Yeah, we've had to deal with that going to visit my wife's family in Indonesia. Although instead of
Yeah.
just a 9 hour flight, sometimes we have to take two of those. So
Oh my
uh,
gosh,
some of the
kidding me.
flights can be really long. Yeah.
Oh wow, I can't even imagine that. And you know
So
what I'd like to do when I'm flying, when I was flying over there and back, I would look at the flight tracker to see what we were flying over at the time. So I got a picture of the Swiss Alps. We were flying over Iceland on the way back. Like it was just I was amazed by it. The way like there was Iceland right below us, and the Swiss Alps. I'm like, wow, this is like a pretty big mountain range. I wonder what this is. So I hit flight tracker, and they said, oh my God, it's the Swiss Alps. No wonder it looks big.
yeah, that's one of the really neat things. Although with our flights, sometimes it's, hey, look, where are we at? We're over the ocean
Yeah,
still.
yeah. It
So
seemed like we were over ocean a long time, but I try not to think about that. But it was okay. They were always serving us food on the plane. It made it go faster. Every time we turned around, it was time to eat. And they were either feeding us a meal or giving us snacks. And we were in like economy plus or whatever. Um, so I thought we had enough room. Going over was a little tight. I think it was just plain economy. But coming back, it was plus, and we had a little bit more leg room. And we were in the back of the plane, and there was an empty seat in the middle. So we did have space on the seats, just not for our legs.
yeah, and I always catch up on my movie watching on those long flights too.
Yeah, Joe watched 3 movies. I like to listen to music. I didn't really feel like watching a movie, but the music selections on United are just like instrumental. So that was not a good thing for me. So I plugged into my phone and listened to my downloaded music on my phone. But I've heard that so many times. But it was better than the instrumental. And I didn't really sleep that much. I thought I would, but maybe just little cat naps, like 20 minutes or so, not like for an hour, because there's always something going on. It's noisy too. Next time I think I'm going to get headphones that actually go over your ears. The
Oh, the
noise
big noise canceling
canceling,
ones.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mine are noise canceling, but they're just the
The ear.
AirPods. They're the better ones, but you still do hear
Yeah.
stuff. So I think those kind with the over the ears would be better for something like this. So next time I'll know. This was like my first kind of experimental European trip, but it worked out really well. We learned a lot, and I would definitely go back. If I have an opportunity again for something like that, I would do it.
Oh,
Def-
absolutely. And when you were in Venice too, you got to do a city tour to see the Doge's
Yeah,
Palace and St. Mark's
yeah. Oh
Basilica.
my gosh. Oh my gosh. What we learned on this city tour, we had a really good guide. And she was telling us like Venice was founded in I think it was at 480 or 470 AD, something like that, like like old. And we just couldn't believe the history that we were seeing and the 24 karat gold palaces. Oh my gosh. And we got to go inside and see where they kept prisoners. And Oh, it was just, it was a little bit crowded in some places, but when you're on a tour, you get to go past, these crowds that were waiting in line, and we had our reservation with the tour, so we went past all them. And the one church we went into, you weren't allowed to show your legs or your knees. And I had a skirt on, so the tour guide lady, she lent me a scarf. So I just wore like a little scarf that kind of looked like a long skirt. And once you come out, I gave it back to her, but I almost forgot about it. She had mentioned it, and they stopped me when I was ready to go in. Oh, you can't go in like that. You need to cover your legs. So she heard that. I forget her name, but she heard that, and she gave me a scarf that she just happened to have with her. Everybody else had already bought one, but I didn't see where they were even buying them. I was probably not paying attention. I was probably looking around. But we really enjoyed the tour, and we wore those little things in our ears so you could hear her as we walked, through the different it was, the crowds were a little noisy, so we could hear her in our ear, all the things she was telling us. And this was already pre-booked ahead of time before we even left the States. One of my owner friends said, "Hey, do you want to do a city tour with us?" I said, "Oh my gosh, yeah, that'd be great." So she booked it through Viator, and we partnered with them as well. So I've never really used their services, and it worked out really well. And it was like 3 hours. So we had a couple breaks at the end of the when we were done with the palace and we saw the basilica. That was where we had to cover our legs. And it does look like Epcot. Like there's parts of it, the towers and the one that just that whole facade that Epcot has on their building where the perfumes and everything are, that is all really true to life. Like that's exactly how it was there. And we also saw where Bezos, the founder, the Amazon guy, had his wedding. They pointed that out to us too, like just little things like that because I saw that on like Entertainment Tonight or something.
Hmm.
So, and they were on boats. They were going all over on boats, so we saw how that works now. But yeah, it was pretty long, and then we had dinner after, a little bit of sightseeing on these little side streets, and bought a couple souvenirs. Um, in Greece, I think I got my son a t-shirt, but I don't remember what we bought in Venice. Did you remember what we bought in Venice, Joe? I can't remember if we bought anything. Oh, Joe got some hats, I think, or Joe got something. I thought we got a souvenir in Venice, and I can't remember what we got. Um, but it was nice. It was a nice beginning to the trip because somehow I adjusted to the time. Like by the next day, I was adjusted. I don't know how that happened. Now on the way back, I had a harder time. But over there, um, we slept really good that first night, and then our tour was the next day. And when we did the tour, it was long, but I wasn't even tired. But at the end, we knew the next day was the cruise, so we were excited. We were excited to get up and go to the cruise. So um, we had a bus to the cruise ship. The cruise ship it was about, oh my gosh, it was like a 2-hour bus ride, which I was not expecting. I didn't understand how that would be so long, but I didn't really research it. I just went with the flow.
Yeah, and the what you did there the next day, getting up and going on the tour and getting out, getting exercise, walking around, sunlight, that's the way to beat jet lag is to be active.
That's what everybody said. Everybody said, don't go to sleep. Whatever you do, don't go to sleep. You're going to be tired, but stay up as long as you can. And there was so much to see. And you get that second wind when you're in a new place and you get excited because you know you're going to see so much. You want to take it all in. Taking pictures like you saw all my pictures. So I was taking a lot of pictures. We had our gondola ride that after the tour. We had lunch and we had our gondola ride. I mean, it was just that was your perfect example of Venice is riding on one of the getting to do that. So we had 4 people. It was fun getting on. Like it was a wobbly boat to get on, and they assign your seat according to weight, trying to keep it evened out. So we rode that all around the canals, and it was just like I just felt like I was like in a video postcard. It was surreal, just looking around and taking pictures, and everywhere you look was something to take a picture of. It was just so nice. And that took about, I'd say that took about 45 minutes, and it was money well spent. It was part of our tour. It was like the city tour including, and then when I saw that, I'm like, oh, I definitely want to do this. So that was just all a part of the city tour, and it was relatively, it wasn't really that expensive of a tour, but I definitely recommend if you're going there and you have the time to get the city tour and include the ride with it was your typical he had his little paddle like paddling along the sides, and I wanted to get a picture of us with him behind us so you could see what we were doing, and it seemed like everybody was doing that. There was a long line to do that, but it went pretty fast because they had a lot of the boats. But you have to do that if you go to Venice, or you didn't.
Oh,
Did you really go to Venice if you don't do
of
that?
course, yeah. And to go back about, you said covering up to go to the Basilica, it reminds me of whenever we were in Thailand, we went to Phuket and there was a Buddhist monastery that was like on top of a mountain that we went to. And there were many tourists, and this was Thailand in July. So it was really hot. So most people were wearing not a whole lot of clothes. And so they had a bunch of stalls outside that some were selling the scarves and different wraps and covers. And I think they had a few that you could just borrow. But yeah, they made people
Right,
do that
right.
there too.
Yeah, yeah. So I didn't know that because like churches here, we don't really, we dress respectfully, but we don't really, think about like you don't have to wear anything that covers your legs. So it was just kind of different. I wasn't, I mean, I would do anything I don't care about doing that. It's just that I didn't think they'd catch, I didn't think about it. I would have just kept walking, but he said, so st he stopped me. And I just like, oh, okay. But that was beautiful inside too. And the bells, when we were in there, the bells were going off, because it was like up on the hour, I guess. And everybody got quiet, and there was, actual chairs if you wanted to sit. I guess they still do conduct church, but not while we were there. But I'm not sure if it was just like one day a week or how they do it. But it was just really, really pretty. Gold everywhere you look.
Oh yeah, some of the cathedrals and the churches in Europe just in general can are some of them are so amazing.
Yeah, the domes, and the paintings. Oh my gosh, like in that palace, I have never seen anything. Just the ceiling was so high, and all these paintings and the gold, and they explained how there would be like there was all these chairs on the wall, and the council would sit there and make judgments about the people that were up for trial, and they showed us where they kept the prisoners, and oh, it was just really something. So long
And
ago, so old.
yeah, and for what you said before, it was founded March 25th, 421 AD.
Yeah, see?
So yeah, that's the thing about going to Europe, that it is there are things that are so old there that like United States, you know, well, Europeans
We're
did
just a
not start coming
baby.
here until the late 1400s, and this was 1,000 years before that
Yeah.
they started building this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it. Like, how did they make, when you see the intricate, like stone, where, the way it's put together, and, the palace, like the square, um, the building around it, that goes around the square, it had burned at one time. So you could see the different stone. By the time they fixed it, it was like 100 some years later or whatever, they had to use a different stone. And she was showing us that. And, it's just, I could do it again and really listen better, like really. A lot of people were asking questions too. You could ask her anything, she would answer. She was really nice, and it wasn't so many people that you couldn't approach the tour guide. So they kept it to like maybe 20, 25 people. So, people ask questions, and then she would answer the question, and you could hear her in your earpiece, what the question was, and then she would answer it. So you really did learn a lot, and she really she could tell she'd been doing this a long time. She was really helpful. It was a good pace. We weren't rushed or anything. I mean, we were ready for the break. We were ready when it was over for the break. But and there was bathroom stops along the way, and that's another thing too. The bathrooms are not free.
Oh, yeah, the pay toilets. Hmm.
Yeah, most of them were €1. Um, and if you have like a higher euro, they do some of them, most of them do have they can change, give you change back. But some of them have like a turnstile where you put the money in, and there'd be like an attendant there. So you would have to get changed there and then put it in the turnstile. Like that was totally, and I knew about this too. I had heard about it. It's just weird to see it, you know. Like I remember in the 60s, like some of the department stores used to have pay toilets. It was like a dime, but they took those out so long ago. But I remember like Kmart used to have, you know, something on the door of the stall, and you would put the dime in and turn the thing around, then the door would open. And I just haven't seen anything like that, till this trip.
Yeah, and even as late as the 80s or even into the 90s, I remember seeing them every once in a great while. And
Yeah.
traveling through Asia, that's pretty common, especially Indonesia, that you have to pay to go and
Yeah,
have the
I
attendant out
guess.
front.
I guess it's like all over Europe. I just never, I mean, you know what, one thing I noticed was those those bathrooms and the attendant working in there really kept them clean. Like they
Hmm.
weren't really sloppy or anything. They were putting that money back into someone, hiring someone to actually clean them and keep them nice. So it was worth it for that. But if you really, like I got to go to the bathroom, like you better have your money ready and you can't be looking for a euro if you have to go to the bathroom. And the lines were long getting into them. So you just had to wait. You just had to wait in the line. Like, well, here, women's rooms are always long lines, so I'm kind of used to that. And over there it was kind of the same thing. Like Joe had to wait a little bit a couple times, but um, even the men's room over there had sometimes had a little bit of a line. So it was an
Yeah.
experience to do that too.
But then you got to go on the cruise with Royal
Yep.
Caribbean and a
Yep.
little,
We got the bus, and we had a crazy bus driver. He was driving pretty fast, and it was all country roads, and he wasn't the most courteous driver. He wasn't very nice to other motorists. Um, and then he missed a turn, so we had to go back and find the correct road. We finally made it to the port. And this port is undergoing refurbishment. So they kind of have like a little temporary, I don't want to say like it's not really a terminal, but they let you off like in an alley, and then we walked into a building where they were pretty organized about it, but it was just not a new, it was temporary and it was just a room. So we had to show our passports and everything, and then get in line. They took our luggage. Um, and usually when you get off the boat or usually when you get off a bus on a cruise, your luggage is either already gone on the ship or it's taken right there at the bus. Well, we had to walk into this building, and that's where they took our luggage. So it was a little confusing. We had to go through metal detector, that they had to go scan your bags and everything. And then finally, we boarded the ship. And I've never been on a royal ship. This was my first royal cruise. And I'm glad it was a smaller one, not the big ships, the Icon class and all that. This was a smaller one. So um, I was glad of that. And I really, really enjoyed the ship. We really liked it. It really did seem like a little floating city. Our room was big. Some of the older ships have bigger rooms, and the newer ones, they kind of made them a little more compact. But our room was a nice size. We had a little trouble finding it at first, mainly because I was looking at the wrong number of the stateroom. I I had a stateroom that didn't exist in my head, and then I go, oh, wait a minute, I missed a number, and then we found it. So there was really not much of a view out on our balcony at that time, but we got everything settled and unpacked, and then we just went exploring and just found a lot of neat little nooks and crannies on the ship. We the stores aren't allowed to be open in port, but we got familiar with the main area where the stores are. Um, I found my where I'm going to be having my training. I found that room. We got kind of used to which elevators to take for which destination on the ship. So being the 7 days, we had all kind of time to get used to it and find things. And it wasn't that big that it only took like maybe 1 or 2 days, and we kind of knew where we were going after that.
And that's probably the best advice whenever you get onto a cruise ship is to go and explore, or even if you're in a city that's walkable, is to walk around and see what you can find and get
Yeah,
oriented and
yeah,
know where
yeah,
things are.
yeah. We found our stateroom to be have a lot of space too. Like usually there's not a lot of space in staterooms for luggage, but there was room under the under the bed for sliding your luggage, and a lot of ships like Disney only, a lot of ships there's a wall there like kind of like an obstruction, and you can't put anything under. And I thought the older ships had that, but no, there was plenty of room to put our suitcases under there. Tons of tons of storage. Joe had drawers. I used the cubbies and the shelves in the closet, and the bathroom was a nice size. The shower was nice. I was really happy with the room. We had a great stateroom attendant. We told him we like ice water. Um, we told him we like ice every night in our um, ice bin. So yeah, it was good. We were all happy with that. And he introduced himself. Can't remember his name offhand, but and every night we had towel animals on the bed. That some of them don't do them every night. We were lucky. We had a different one every night, a different little shape, different animal or whatever.
Those are always cute.
Yeah, I took pictures. I always, just take pictures, and I hate to like take it apart and use it. Like try to keep it like intact, and I just move it off to the side, because I feel bad that he took the time to make it. I just didn't want to like mess it up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Now, a little, go ahead.
explore the seas. I was really happy with the boat. Um, we only had to tender on one port. The rest of them, we were able to dock. So it's a small enough ship that's kind of nice too.
Yeah, a little bit of background about Royal Caribbean. It's officially Royal Caribbean Group, and then there's three like subsidiaries, if you want to call it that. There's Royal Caribbean International, which is what Donna was on. I guess they call it Mediterranean or Royal Adriatic for your cruises. I don't know.
Yeah, it was Adriatic. Yeah.
So it was founded in 1968 in Norway. So then they found their way to the Caribbean and other places around the world. Now in they also have Celebrity Cruises, which was founded in 1988 and it's been part of Royal Caribbean since 1997. It's a little bit more upscale than Royal Caribbean is, and it's adult oriented. It's not adult only. Kids are allowed to go on it, but they don't have water slides and entertainment specifically geared towards kids. It's geared towards adults,
Yeah.
but kids are welcome. And then there's Silver Sea Cruises, which was founded in 1994. Royal Caribbean started to acquire it in 2018, finished that in 2020, and it's more of a luxury expedition cruise line. And now Royal Caribbean or International, they have 18 ships, and it's Royal Caribbean because the names all end with "of the seas."
Yeah.
So as Donna mentioned, hers was Explorer of the Seas.
Yeah.
Now the oldest Royal Caribbean vessel was built in 1996. The Explorer of the Seas is officially Voyager class. It was built in the year 2000. It's a
Mhm.
little over 1,000 feet long. The beam, so the widest part of it's like 161 feet. It's like over 200 feet tall. The draft about how much the ship is underwater is like 27 feet. There's 15 decks.
Oh,
It holds 3,286 passengers and 1,180 crew. So basically a 3-to-1 passenger to crew ratio, which uh, not too bad.
yeah. I don't think we were at capacity. We had very few kids. I think because of the itinerary, some of the kids might not like that type of itinerary. There were water slides, some pretty nice water slides. There was also that oh, I forget the name of it offhand. The wave,
Yeah,
what's that called? I
the
can't
Flow
think of it.
Rider.
Flow rider. There were some teenagers on that. We had more teens than we had younger kids. Um, so they kind of like those water slides. We kind of walked around, we did golfing and all that. So we were just kind of looking around and you could see like the teens were, if there was a under 18 age group, it was like 12 and up. There weren't really much under 12 on our cruise.
And now on your cruise, your first day was a day at sea.
Hmm.
And you mentioned some of the pictures that you posted of the sunset over the sea, which sunsets and sunrises. I prefer sunsets just because you don't have to get up at the crack of dawn to see them. So,
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I don't even know if I did a sunrise picture. The beds were so comfortable. Like I don't even know if
yeah.
I was up in time for that. But I know I did take, it just seems like when you're looking at, like, I know I just took a sunset picture last night, but I like this was pretty too. Like, I tried to get back, I took more pictures of them because they were just so nice.
And that's a neat thing with the day at sea that you can see the sunset at the sea and they can also see a sunrise at the sea. And they,
Yeah.
come up both sides.
And it was clear. Like, we had good weather. We had good weather the entire time, really. And it was so clear with the sky. You wake up, the sun was shining already, and you're such a wide horizon because you're at sea. So you just see so much more of the sunset and the sunrise.
And then on the ship, you got to take a candy sushi class.
Yeah, that's something I wouldn't have probably picked out. Like I was looking at the excursions before we left, and there was a lot of different ones. Some of them were sold out, but I found this one, and I thought, I'm not a sushi eater just for regular sushi, but how bad can candy sushi be? I said, it sounds like fun, and you get to eat it. So I asked my owner friend that I was kind of hanging out with on this cruise. I said, "Do you want to do the candy sushi class with me?" And she said, "Yeah, let's do it." So it was in the Japanese restaurant on board, and they had all the supplies ready for us. There was a couple kids at this one. They were probably 7, 8, 9 years old kids, and they were really the one little girl. She was like the big sister of these other kids. And she was showing them how to do everything, like saying, "Oh, you did a really good job on that." Like they were really cute, these kids. And she actually did do a good job on hers. Like she seemed like older for her age. So we followed the instructions, and then at the end, we took a picture of our sushi, and then you get a certificate that you completed the class and they give you a little sushi container to take it back with. So I took it back to the room, and a couple days we had eaten all of it. It was good. And all it was like Rice Krispies it was like a sheet of Rice Krispies, like a Rice Krispie marshmallow treat. And then it was warm enough that you could roll it. So we had the different colors in our laying on the Rice Krispies, and then we rolled it and then we sliced it. So when you sliced it, it came out like it really did look like sushi. And but it wasn't. It was sweet, it was Rice Krispies, and we took some. Like I said, I took it back. Joe had some, I had some, and it was gone by like a couple days. Like we ate it all. So, and it was worth it. It was a fun class and just something you remember. It's like so unusual. And I don't do things like bingo and things like that, but I thought this would be fun. And we enjoyed
And yeah, real sushi is usually rolled in rice, and so this one was the Rice Krispies.
it.
So
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate.
Yeah, it really was a good idea. They had everything set up too, and she was giving us tips so it wouldn't like break in half when you rolled it. Um, mine did break a little bit, but I thought I did a pretty good job on it. And, it was just a fun thing and just totally different. And you get to take it with you. You have something to show for your work. And it was kind of tasty. There was like fruit roll-ups were one of the things that made the color. So you laid that down on your Rice Krispie. And then when you rolled it, it was just like, it really did look real. If you didn't know better, you would think it was sushi. But I won't eat sushi, so this is the only way I'm going to eat it.
The candy kind. Perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
And now a few other places you got to eat was the Crown and Kettle.
Yeah, we went there for drinks. It's right in the main, the Royal Promenade deck, and it's all indoors. So there's like a little mall and the restaurant. Like the tables were out into the walkway area, so you could like sit out there and watch people watch, going by, and I'd see people I know because I knew a lot of people on this cruise. So you see familiar faces, and then we just had a drink like before dinner, and it's not far from the restaurant, so we prefer like the buffet on the royal ships was probably one of the best buffets I've ever seen on a cruise. And I've been on over 20 cruises. And this was one of the best buffets for variety that I have ever seen. Like usually the other side of the dining room will be, oh, that's just another side of the exact same thing on the other side. But they actually had, as you walked around, it was completely different food. Like we didn't even find the other side till like the third day. And we're like, oh my gosh, there's waffles over here in the morning. Like we didn't even, it was completely different. It wasn't, they had the eggs and the bacon and the sausage and everything on the one side. Then the other side had like the waffles and the pancakes. And there was always a dessert like a center in the away from the main buffet. They had like a whole dessert island and cookies of every kind. And it's just, oh my gosh. Go hungry. That's all I can say. And I don't know how, but I came off this cruise and I lost 4 pounds. So I know I ate. I just didn't eat a lot of this stuff. Then sometimes we would take cookies back to the room because you're just not ready to eat them, right after dinner,
Yeah.
or lunch or anything. Well, they had an opening. The first night they had an opening reception, and we kind of got to meet the royal executives, and it was like an open bar with some I forget what it was that we had. It was good. It was shrimp. Joe had shrimp and something else, and I can't recall what it was because this cruise was like 6 weeks ago. But we had a little bit. We weren't too. We wanted to have our dinner, so we didn't really want to eat a lot at the opening reception. But it was nice just to get to meet the people that were going to do our training. Um, and our training was our first day at sea was like our first session of training. So that morning we were in the training room learning things. In the afternoon, then we had open for ourselves.
And then you also got to eat at Johnny Rockets, where they put a nice little smiley face of sauce on your plate.
Yeah, that was cute, wasn't it? We found that the first day. We wanted to make sure we knew where it was. And it's a little different. We used to have a Johnny Rockets here where they used to dance. They play the music and the waiters and waitresses danced. They didn't do that at this one, but the food was pretty much the same. And the decor, even though it was a smaller type of Johnny Rockets because it's on the ship, they had outdoor seating booths and indoor seating booths. So that was nice. That was different. And we just ate there the one time. And they weren't very busy, and you don't need a reservation. You could just walk in. It is an extra charge though. It's not included in the like the buffet or the cost of the cruise. It's a little bit of upcharge for Johnny Rockets.
Yeah, and Donna mentioned before about the main dining room with all the buffet. It's a big dining room too.
The main dining room that we were in, the three-story one, that was included, but that is a sit-down dining room. The buffet is called Win Joe, what was the buffet?
Windjammers.
Windjammers, yeah. The
Yeah.
buffet was Windjammers, and you can sit anywhere you want. You seat yourself. So those are your two options that are included in the cruise. And I'm telling you, the food was really good in the main dining room. We did eat there for lunch one day, for dinner, and we tried each meal one time, but mainly we mainly ate in the buffets because I could control like the portions of what I wanted to eat. And they had like more, I think more to choose from in the buffet. There was more different types of food. Like if you wanted pasta or if, that's all on the menu too, but there's just a bigger variety up at the buffet. So we
And
tried a
you don't,
little bit of everything.
in the buffet, you don't have to make your decision of, oh, do I want this or that? I'll have a little
Right.
of both.
And if you want more, you just go back, you know. And some things we liked, and some things we didn't, but you might as well try it. You might as well try and see if you like it. It doesn't cost you anything. It's all included. So, I kind of stayed away from the extra charge dining areas. There were some, well, Royal took us to lunch at Chops, which is their steakhouse. And that was really good. Otherwise, probably wouldn't have tried that because we have the main dining room and we have the Windjammers. So we had breakfast pretty much every day at Windjammers, but the lunch was really good. And all of the people in the training, we had like two or three tables of people. And you kind of got to get to know them a little bit better, your fellow owners. And there was a couple agents there too that the owners brought. So I at least I'm glad I got to experience chops because I normally probably wouldn't have tried it.
And of course, there was ice cream too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, they have the little, it's not like Disney where you just go up and like make your own thing. They have somebody, you tell them what you want, whatever flavor. They always had vanilla, chocolate. They had vanilla and chocolate. And the one day that I think they had strawberry, but there was something every day there was one that changed to a different flavor, like an extra flavor. So we tried that probably, if not every day, like every other day, we were trying that. And we just got an ice cream cone and sat on the lawn chairs, not the lawn chairs, but like the loungers.
Hmm.
And it was windy there though. It was very windy there, even with the glass. Some of the panes were down a little bit. So we would find an empty chair and just sit and watch the ocean go by. It was just so relaxing. You do have to be careful though, if you don't like smoking. One side of the ship on the outside pool area is smoking and one side is not. And we learned that the first day because I smell smoke, and we walked right into the smoking area. So then I realized, oh, it's the other side. So you have to remember which side. And I can't remember if it's port or starboard side, but the one side was smoking. I want to say it was starboard, but I can't remember which direction we were. I can't remember if the ship was heading straight or if we were backwards, but you just have to watch that. So we sat down and was like, oh, we gotta move. So, I mean, they were in the right place. We were in the wrong place, so we moved.
We're going to interrupt our podcast. Donna and I talked for quite a while about her Royal Caribbean cruise through the Mediterranean and the Adriatic and all the wonderful places that she had ports of call and visited. So we're going to split this into two parts. I'm going to give you my travel tip. So I've mentioned on here before that if you are going to, whenever you go on a cruise, pack a day bag with the things that you're going to need as soon as you get on the ship. So it's basically like your carry on. And one thing you should definitely throw in there, especially if you have kids or if you want, is the swimsuits. So whenever people first get on the ship, they typically do not go to the pool or the water slides. And so all of that stuff is usually wide open. There's not a lot of people in there. So if you want to get on the water slides and play in the pool and not really have anyone else in there, that is the perfect opportunity. But the luggage that you're going to have put on your other luggage that you check to bring onto the ship, it can take a while to get to your room. So anything you want to use immediately, have it in your little carry-on bag. And what I mentioned before here with Donna is whenever you're on the ship, whether it's immediately whenever you get on or a little bit later on, definitely walk around and explore. Find out where things are, familiarize yourself with the ship. It wouldn't be a bad idea before you go on your cruise to take a look at the different deck plans for the ship and see, okay, this thing is here, that thing is there. This is where we want to definitely check out for to eat this place. We want to go shopping here, things along those lines, just so you have a bit of an idea of where you're going and what you're doing, uh, even before you get on the ship. But once you're there, actually seeing it in person can really help and can get in your memory with make the left turn here, the turn here, directions, layout, things along those lines. Now, if you have a destination or experience that you'd like to have us discuss on the Where Yinz Goin podcast, or if you'd like to share a favorite destination or have a travel tip, feel free to contact me. I'd love to hear your feedback and ideas. Don, how can people get a hold of you?
My email is Donna@dreamsbydesigntravel.com. We have our Facebook page, Dreams by Design Travel. All of our agents have their Facebook page, which is Dreams by Design Travel with, and then the agent's name. So if you just Google on Facebook, Dreams by Design, a bunch of names will fall down in the search window. All of the names of the agents that we have, 30 some agents.
And now here at the podcast, we are on Facebook and X. We're at Where Yinz Goin, Yinz, Yinz Goin, Goin with the apostrophe. So, and all this information is going to be in the episode description. So, if you want to contact us to book a trip or have any questions, you know how to find us. You don't have to have written this down or have a photographic memory. Please like, follow, subscribe, leave a review, tell a friend. If you like what you heard, let others know so we can spread uh, and grow our podcast, get as many listeners as we can so they can enjoy all the stuff that you're enjoying. See, that's the thing. We're being friendly and we're sharing stuff because sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring, yeah.
So, Donna, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate the chance to go through your European cruise again, or
Thanks.
Mediterranean cruise.
Yeah, cruising the Med. Thanks for having me on, Matt. It was nice to relive the experiences. Now I want to book another one.
And you can book one too. You can join Donna on her next trip, right?
Yeah, I would love to do
So,
something like that. Like just to have a cruise and have, like a guided agency cruise or something like that. That'd be fun.
all right, you convinced me. Let's book it.
Bye,
So, now everyone else, please join us next time. We're heading out in that. We'll see you later.
everybody.